Drell turned into a super ugly piece of meat. The kingdom was saved. But the future's still shaky, cause Toa woke up, and CLEVATESS becomes a magic teacher. So much went down in this final episode of CLEVATESS. So stick with me, dude, and let's get into the video. It starts with a farm dad calling his daughter, Alicia, to head home. There, her dad tells her about the world they live in, since the little one was looking at the map of Odysseia, where everything around the continent is dark. Her dad says those dark parts around the continent of Odysseia are where the magical beasts are, and among them are the 4 great kings guarding the 4 cardinal points. All the research groups and expeditions sent there never came back. Alicia freaks out, thinking everyone bit the dust. Humanity never managed to explore beyond Odysseia, since the magical beasts stopped them. Of course, the world must be way bigger than that little piece of land. She thinks they'll never leave Odysseia, and her dad confirms that's very likely unless a legend comes true. The legend is about the greatest among heroes, those who will get weapons given by the King of Hydn and will defeat the 4 kings of the magical beasts. After that, humanity will get to know the whole world. Alicia asks if these beast kings are really that strong, and her dad says they can even tear the sky and earth apart. How can anyone beat beasts like that? She asks. That's why. Her dad said, they need the Hydn weapons given by the king. Only with them does humanity stand a chance, cause these weapons boost their users to an insane level. Alice now wants to be a hero too, and her dad looks like he already tried to be one and lost his leg. That's why he says it's really hard to be a hero. Alice says she'll become one and make the world much bigger. With that, Alice wakes up from her dream and is in a carriage with the other heroes heading to the lands of the magical beasts. The heroes keep fighting their way to the summit. Then, a magnificent creature appears at the top saying everything is pure chaos. The heroes keep on their path, strong and steady, using their special weapons against the magical beasts. They finally reach the fortress of one of the magical beast kings. He is the lord of the mountain of the moon, CLEVATESS. The big monster arrives, all pompous, the one who rules the far south of Odyssey. CLEVATESS of the moonlight. His aura and power are on another level, but the 3 heroes are confident they can do something, yet they get wiped out instantly. Alice is the only one who deals a tiny bit of damage to the beast, chipping his horn a little. CLEVATESS says it's been 1,000 years since he met humans, or at least humanoids, and thinks if they plan to keep threatening his territory's safety, he'll have to take necessary measures. So, CLEVATESS heads to the kingdom of Hydn. After finishing off the heroes, he lands in the capital Hyderabad, causing major panic. CLEVATESS seeks justice. Just like they massacred his kind, he'll destroy everything and everyone in Hydn. But his main goal is the king. The soldiers report the chaos to the king, and he says he knows his heroes failed. Looks like the weapons didn't reach a high enough level of Hydn. Saying that, the king needs to seal the furnace that creates the special weapons, cause the flame of Hydn can't be extinguished. CLEVATESS is smart and knows he needs to destroy the source of the humanoids' red weapons. After all, one of them made a small cut on his horn. That's why it's necessary to cut the evil at the root before it causes him major problems later. CLEVATESS kills the king of Hydn for not giving him a proper answer about what kind of species they were, and so he'll wipe out all humanity now. This includes the Hydn, the Orgs, the Dons, the Slanda, and the BS. All the lands of the continent of Odysseia will perish before CLEVATESS' wrath. The big beast destroys the kingdom, but sees a boy in his final moments with a baby, and he begs CLEVATESS to take the baby and care for him, as he might give him the answer of what the future holds and show that humans can be different. Led by mere curiosity, he accepts, takes the child, and returns to his mountain. This continent is home to 5 clans, the Dons, who are the most numerous talented architects and warriors. From these people came to great nations, the kingdom of Eslan and Bel, who shared the central lands of the Dons. The second clan are the Zor, a courageous people who live in the forests and are experts in hunting and medicine. The third is the Islata clan, an aquatic people of splendid sailors and swimmers who preferred to keep their distance from other clans. The fourth is the BS clan, seen as a barbaric people who live in nature, but they lack unity within the clan. The fifth and last was the Hydn clan, the oldest and full of mysteries, specialized in metallurgy. The small country was surrounded by mountains. Hydn is the only country capable of creating magical weapons with special or the knowledge of this technique was kept only by the royal family who lived in the capital, Hyderabad. Trading weapons, they built a great connection with the Don people. Thus, the clans mixed, and most of the population became half-hidden. Pure-blood Hydns became rare. These 5 clans don't know what awaits them outside Odysseia. After all, the 4 beast kings would never allow the passage of humanoids. CLEVATESS realizes he has to take care of the Hydn baby. He doesn't just grow overnight. CLEVATESS cleans his fees with dung-eating beetles and restores his physical energy with magic. But he needs to eat. The big beast, one of the kings of the magical beasts, realizes how hard it is to raise a child and is going crazy already on the first night. So he resurrects Alicia. We see that in her past, someone sent her dad to his death. some soldier from another nation. She wakes up with her legs sewn back on and a huge scar on her eye. CLEVATESS took the bodies of her companions and their weapons and chucked them into the deep abyss. Alicia can only move thanks to the magical blood CLEVATESS gave her, meaning Alice is now a zombie. The girl doesn't understand anything. She was dead and came back. And one of the kings of the magical beasts speaks her language, just craziness in her head. CLEVATESS tells her to show her breasts, cause he needs her to breastfeed the child, but finds out it won't work. Alice says she's a virgin and can't produce milk. Only women who've given birth can do that. Now what's CLEVATESS gonna do? I resurrected this one just to give milk and she can't even do that. Useless little woman. CLEVATESS is the weakest misogynist of 2025. Alicia is having one of those days. Gets sent to her death in battle, revives, gets humiliated, and now has to serve a powerful monster. So, CLEVATESS says she'll find a wet nurse for the child. So, they go together to the human world to look for one. However, CLEVATESS can't enter a city in this form, so he transforms into the boy who was holding the baby. He did it. They'll hire a wet nurse using the magical ore from the mountain as payment. CLEVATESS chooses his name and the child's name to walk around human cities. His name from now on will be Clean, and the newborn will be Luna. The three leave CLEVATESS Mountain. And while washing the child's cloak in the river, Alicia discovers the emblem on it belongs to the royal family of Haydn, meaning everyone will be looking for the child. So, a member of Haydn, maybe from the royal family, arrives at his homeland and sees everything in ruins. He thinks the king went crazy trying to fulfill the legend of the heroes who saved the world from the magical beasts. And now he screwed everything up. He said the princess was worried for a reason. The plan was for them to flee on the day of the naming ceremony, taking the child. The guy runs on his horse trying to find a survivor. Meanwhile, the kingdom of Bolet and its General Drell plan to invade a weakened Haydn, acquire the secret technique of the royal family that makes the magical weapons, and take Haydn as their territory. Drell tells Maynard to stay and look for members of the royal family clan. Now knowing Luna is the heir of Haydn, plans to make him king and support him from the shadows. That way he can observe the humanoids from a high position and eliminate the humans whenever he wants. They leave, and Alicia knows that if anything happens to Luna, CLEVATESS will instantly end humanity, cause his interest in her will have gone down the drain. Just then, a bandit appears and hits Clan on the head. Alice thinks the guy and his buddies are screwed now, but Clean falls to the ground bleeding and passes out. Something's not right here. Alicia also gets pistol whipped and falls to the ground. She wakes up in a wagon, transporting slaves, and Clean says she's finally awake. The guy isn't worried at all. Alicia asks how Clean passed out from a simple hit like that. He says his new body is fragile, that's why he fainted. And he's not gonna escape from here, he'll just go with the flow. CLEVATESS will stay in human form until Luna becomes king. The good thing is, he'll get to learn more about humans. Alice tells him not to base his opinion on this trashy people, the bandits, cause they're the scum of humanity. They arrive at the crow's base. Alice is taken to the boss's room, and Clean goes somewhere else. A woman named Carmen calls Nello, a slave woman who takes care of children. Ace is taken to the leader of the crows, Rocco, who has a troll as a pet, which is a magical beast from the west. He tells the men to go with Alice to retrieve the magical weapons of the defeated heroes. Cole is working as a waiter for the bums, while Luna is feeding from Nello, who has a very sad life and says she's only good for breastfeeding children. She's always abused in every way, beaten, and everything bad that can happen to a human by another human or damn beast. Good thing he took out the underscore, who hurt her and went to talk to her to understand her story while she breastfeeds Luna. Nello was born in this place. Never knew who her father was, but her mother was always abused by the crows. Something every slave suffered. One day she disappeared when Nello was 12 years old. From then on, the girl started getting raped, lost almost all her teeth, and went deaf in one ear. It was thanks to her mother that this violence didn't reach Nello. But since the woman disappeared, the girl started living in hell on earth. However, one day a woman named Carmen arrived at the crow's base. A woman of the night who taught her how to satisfy men so they'd leave her alone. Nello felt that since meeting her and learning these things, life got a little better, since she produces milk. Nilo is of some use to the crows. Clean thought only mothers produced milk, and Nilo tells him her baby died during childbirth. Then Nello drowned in darkness. But then a child appeared, feeding from her breasts, so Nello decided to live a little longer for her. From then on, other babies came from unknown places, and she continued her breastfeeding work. She had 2 more babies who were stillborn. Clean asks her to flee this place and be Luna's wet nurse. But Nello can't say yes, cause other children will come and need her milk. Besides, she doesn't see salvation in fleeing with another slave. Alicia is being taken across a bridge and sees an outpost where many aquatic magical beasts live. In the past, the hero Cold War, with his treasure, the Flow Visor sword, managed to take out the beasts. Alice thinks of something to not be a punching bag and not do things for these criminals. She dislocates her shoulder and jumps to the ground with one of them. The guy splats on the ground and Alicia does too. The bandits can't believe Alicia killed herself, all to not lead them to the treasures. Little do they know, the girl is alive, but she's all broken and can't feel anything below the neck. Alicia tries to move, but then the magical blood turns into a miniature CLEVATESS. He says this form is determined by the amount of magical blood Alicia has. If she loses it all, she's dead for good. Obviously, CLEVATESS won't allow a useful servant to be lost, so he asks about Anello, an ideal wet nurse he met, who didn't accept his proposal to flee with him. Alice replies it's because he's now a slave boy who doesn't inspire confidence in an escape, and also, the crows would pursue and kill them. Therefore, Nello has no hope, unless CLEVATESS uses his power and annihilates all the bandits in this base. However, CLEVATESS can't assume his true form and let others know he left the Mountain of the Moon. That way, humans could attack in his absence. So he orders Alicia to finish off all the crows. Since she was one of the 3 heroes, it'll be easy for her. Alicia says it's not that simple. A hero doesn't kill recklessly. CLEVATESS doesn't care and regenerates Alicia to finish them off for good. Even though the girl doesn't die, the regeneration and all the wounds she receives still cause next-level pain. Alicia starts the fight, and Nello gets caught talking to Carmen about the boy Clen, who suggested the 2 of them flee. Rocco calls Nello for a little chat, and Carmen knows that now she's done for. Now no one will be able to breastfeed the children. Clen hears everything and asks Carmen what happened and tells the prostitute to spill everything. Rocco takes her to a tunnel under the base, and there are several skulls there. So he puts out the lamp's light and lights it again. With Bait the troll behind Nilo, for the crime of thinking about fleeing this place, Nello will receive the penalty of being devoured by Bet, the monster that FRO controls using various drugs mixed with magical or powder. Nello is swallowed, and Clan appears. Bet fears the presence of the King of the South and vomits on him. The poor thing is missing an arm and a leg and is all disfigured. She's barely breathing. Clee neutralizes the effect of the gastric acid and leaves Luna with her so she can accompany her final moments and keep the 2 away from the battle. Rocco doesn't understand what kind of magic Clen used, but he doesn't know what it is. And Rocco says he must be an idiot. Magic is a recent field of study, but that worm there has been in the area since magic was created as a term for this new technology. His generation is the one that founded the basic concepts of magic. Rocco's magical, or powder, mixed with various herbs and parasitic fly larvae, allows him to control magical beasts. But for now, it only works on Western trolls and females. So Vroko orders Bet to finish off Clan, who feels that this powder is affecting him somehow. He takes a hit from Bet, and his fragile body takes damage, which is very convenient for the fight. Alicia keeps tearing through the bandits and runs with a plan in mind. She climbs onto the scaffolding, when the bandits also climb up and surround her. So she cuts everything and makes the structure collapse with all the underscore fillet falling into the lake and dying to the aquatic beasts. She uses the confusion to go down to the bottom in a barrel and find the sword of the hero Cold War. Good thing the divider of Efta doesn't drown. But a bigger, more colossal magical beast awaits her in the depths of the lake. Alicia is getting dizzy and almost passing out. Even though she doesn't die, the pain is like she's about to die at any moment. She reaches the bottom, finds the sword, but didn't expect to be right on top of a magical beast. Alicia tries to grab the sword, but the beast sucks her in. However, she grabs the blade and remembers her father told her that, even though she didn't have strong arms like a man, she is the best at extracting 100% of a sword's strength. With that, Alice will be a great hero. She manages to get out of the beast's mouth and uses her flow divider to jet swim to the surface, cutting the water with the sword and gaining propulsion. Now, she understands that the previous owner lost to this ancient monster, a magical beast that has lived for tens of thousands of years and sleeps for long periods. Probably while extracting oil from this mine, the guys accidentally woke the beast. Alice reaches dry land and can finally breathe. However, the magical beast attacks everywhere and snatches several snacks. Alice just cuts the tentacles and dodges to avoid F. There's no way to defeat an ancient beast alone. One hero isn't enough. The crows beg for help. However, they won't get it, because Alicia is no longer just a hero, but a servant of something much scarier than that ancient aquatic beast. So, all the vagabond crows go F the creature. Clint contacts her via magical blood and tells her to come running immediately to where he is, cause he needs to punish her for not saying anything about this new technology called magic. Clay managed to defeat Bet while Vroko flees, dying of fear, not understanding anything that happened or what magic the boy used. But he finds Luna and thinks of something. Alicia arrives, and Clen asks for help finding Luna, cause this powder affected his sense of smell and his senses. He can't use all his power either, or he'll destroy the tunnel and send Luna to his death. Clan wants to know more about this so-called magic. It's revealed that only those with potential can use it. Magical ores are commonly used by people with talent for magic, but for Alicia and most people, it's just any old stone. Clay is disappointed by Alicia's uselessness, but it was his fault he wiped out the heroes who could use magic. Vroko tries to leave the place with Luna, but Nello is clinging to him and doesn't want this damn guy to escape with the baby. The old man discovered that Luna has an aptitude for magic. Besides being a pure-blood high-hate, Alice and Clan arrive to take the baby back. She offers the magical sword to Vroko if he hands over the baby safely. But the smart bandit doesn't accept. He can have the baby and get the 13 weapons of the heroes. He'll gain much more. Ali tells him where the treasures are, which is in the southern mountain at the far south of Odyssey. Vroko then uses his invisibility magic and goes for his objective. But with Luna crying, he gives away his location. And Alice cuts Vroko in half. The dumb bandit didn't even notice the baby crying gave him away. Clin removes the magical powder from Luna, making him visible again. Alicia tells Kel to save Nello. After all, it's not just anyone who, even while dying, would use all their strength to protect a child. She is a perfect wet nurse for Luna. Clen agrees, but says he can only control one body at a time, meaning Alice would have to lose her magical blood and go to Vasco. However, she's cool with that. After all, her duty as a hero is to sacrifice herself for the people, just like her father taught her. Cole heals and reconstructs Nello's body. She's all good now, comes back thinner and with all her teeth. Nello is very happy for the kind lady hero saving her. So, Clin baptizes her Naluru since she was reborn, so she goes with them on this crazy journey. Clin will store the magical sword in his shadows. Although Alicia is sad she can't travel with it, at least Clay won't throw it away. Naluru arrives with the baggage ready and Luna in her arms. Look, she's carrying a lot of stuff and even found cute clothes for Luna. Alicia says it must be heavy to carry all that plus the baby. Naluru says it's fine. As strange as it seems, her body feels very light. Alice thinks he might have used parts from a very muscular bandit's body. Just then, someone arrives from the sky looking for Clinwile. Alice takes some money from Vroko and a female leather armor he kept in his drawer. What a weird old man, huh? Crazy dude. Alice also grabs a sword. So, Clean arrives flying and breaks everything. The new guy is really strong and attacks Alicia, who barely dodges his kick, which was nothing ordinary. Alicia tries to use her secret blade technique, Ascending Dragon, on him, but Clan stops her, cause it was all a misunderstanding. And also the guy would have torn her body apart with his kick. The guy asks who the woman is with the strong smell of Western troll. She says it must be cause she was swallowed by one. The guy says he heard about a little man who enslaved a Western troll and found his corpse in the tunnels of the place. The guy thought Clen was Vroko. Clayan says he is a magical beast, but he can't see his true form because of the strong illusion he's using, and he only knows one being capable of such power. The king of the magical beasts of the west, Zavet of the ghosts. This king doesn't get along with Clevatess of the moonlight. Clement stops Zavet's servant and says he is just a servant of Clevatess, the beast of the moonlight. The beast named Gart reveals his true body. It's a large bird, looks like a hawk or falcon. Gart says that Lady Zavet is also considering the destruction of the humanoids. Alice is worried that magical beasts might already be infiltrated among humans, since another, like CLEVATESS, who disguises his appearance, has shown up. But Clen tells her she can relax. Few magical beasts can transform into humanoids, let alone speak the human language. Aside from Zavet, who likes illusions, no magical beast would get involved with humanoids. Cleen asks why Zavet wants to destroy the humanoids, since she is adored as a god by those in the western forest. Gart says that 3 days ago, magical beast cubs have been disappearing, and a kind of potion was found in the forest. Zavet says the humans must be behind it, and it was her mistake to think she had built a good relationship with Zorg. Gart thought about calling a meeting with the Zorg chief, but Zavet ordered Gart to infiltrate the humanoid world and, depending on the conclusion, they would destroy everyone. Gart said he was following a lead, and Cleon said he killed the little man, and since the troll attacked him, he had descended to its death too. Cleon says the taken cubs could be from other species, cause Carmen told him the women there couldn't have children easily, cause some hooded men appeared and bought all the babies, looking for something called talent. With that, Clen found out that Carmen and other women sent all 3 of Nerva's children to their death to protect their pride, and so the babies wouldn't be sold. Clan just thinks she's very stupid, cause Nora's mother managed to hide the child until he reached a certain age so he wouldn't be sold. But Carmen never thought of that possibility. She was just a monster. Cleon thinks the case of the disappearing magical beast, cubs, and the human babies being bought definitely has some connection. It probably has to do with talent for magic. And Alice says the mages might be involved in this. Mages appeared a few years ago and completely changed how wars are fought. The nation that started it all was Bolate with its strongest general, the Dragon Slayer Drell. He is also responsible for finishing off Alice's father. Drell said that back then, the era of the sword and magic would soon begin. The kingdom of Jesslyn has been trying to contain Bolite's advance, and they came to invade Haydn and take possession of the royal family's forge that creates the magical weapons that Rod and Miguel possess. Since Hidden doesn't answer Jeslin's calls, they can only believe the rumors that CLEVATESS destroyed the kingdom are true. Since Hidden's forge is the oldest magical item in the world, anyone researching magic will want its secrets. If Bolette gets the forge, they'll have an absurd magical force and could dominate all of Edisseia. A soldier arrives saying the east gate has opened and it's Mird who is there. He says that the royal family of Hidden is done for, but the princess is somewhere safe. But the baby heir of a few months was taken by a boy and is missing. However, right now the crows reported finding a high Hydenian baby, the same age as the prince who was accompanied by a black-haired boy. Drell orders Minard to go right now to get the child and be with her when the general arrives in Hydenia. Curious about the drink Noro made, called coffee. In this world, it's a super rare drink she used to make for the thief boss Vroko sometimes. The beans come from Islada, which is beyond the Eastern Sea. Naluru put a lot of sugar in it to take Clean's tiredness away. Nero is so nice. My dude, I like her so much. Thank goodness she didn't kick the bucket. Hope nothing bad happens. Okay, anime. So, Luna tries to grab the coffee cup, but Clay doesn't let him. If he burned his tongue, imagine the mess a baby would make. Nero wants to know where the man from before went. Gart. Clean explains that he flew off to tell his master Zavit what he found out about magic and the mages. Ned Oro can chill. Since Gart won't attack anymore, Clen tries the so-called coffee and finds it delicious. Someone's missing from this group, so Alyssa shows up warning about something she found out from the city merchants. Haydn is absolute chaos. She shows the map and says Bolette crossed the border and invaded. Haydn is even trying to resist, but with the capital destroyed and the king dead, it's not gonna work. Eslin tried to stop Bolette at the kingdom's border, but it didn't work. Clan wants to know why they interfered, and it's explained that Eslin and Bolette have been at war for centuries. In terms of magic, Eslin is definitely more of a pushover. So, they need to do everything to stop Bolette from getting the Haydn forge. Speaking of the forge, without the king, Haydn has no knowledge to create weapons and use it anyway. Plus, they have no mages in Haydn due to the king's ban. Now it's really impossible for Haydn to use the magical forge. That's why Klein never heard about magic in his life. Nioro, in this tense conversation, gives a coffee to Alicia. Clean is surprised a human like her has never had it. But Alice, embarrassed and nervous, says she grew up in a simple village. No way to drink an expensive, fancy thing like that. She's really happy with the coffee's sweetness. Obviously, Nero, the best character in this anime, put all her love into making the coffee and a lot of sugar too. So, she picks up Luna, who's being quite feisty, and goes to feed him. Alice is really happy to see how caring and loving Naloro is. Clen thinks she wants to do the sash with Noro, and says that's not possible. They're both females. Alice goes crazy at what Clean says. The guy has no clue about human feelings. Clean wants to know the reason for all this happiness. So Alice explains it's because it's the first time her sword has brought genuine happiness to a person. She finally did something heroic. So, they need to do something about the kingdom of Haydn. Klein wants to make Luno king, but it's tough with this Bolette invasion and the war against Eslin. Klein says he doesn't care if Bolette annexes Hidden to its kingdom. What would be the problem? I and Alicia tell you, my dear king of the magical beasts of the south. If Bolette conquers Haydn, they'd never allow Luna to become king. If the baby is found, he'll also be captured by Bolette. Plus, he's a pure-blood Haydn, which makes the situation even worse. Meanwhile, cute little Luna is eating with his wet nurse. Aaliyah says the royal lineage guards the secrets of refining magical or, therefore, Bolette desperately wants that for themselves. There's only one person in Bolette who can command an army of that magnitude, and that's Dr. the Dragon Slayer. When Alicia's father retired and went to live peacefully in the village, Drell made a point of finding and finishing him off. When he defeated the man who mastered the sword, Drell's magic reached a form of completeness, but he didn't think it was enough. And Alice is pissed about that. Drell killed her father to test his magic. The guy is so crazy he sent his old ally Jeff to his death just to get more power. Alice really wanted to avenge her father, but with his last strength, her father stopped her and said if she went up against Drell, she'd be dragged into the war, and war brings nothing good. It only serves to shrink the world of men. A hero needs to be the opposite of war. That's why her father told Alice to do just that and see the whole world. That way, he would always be with her and see this new world. Alice says Clean will need to expel Bolette from Haydn so Luna can live in the world of men. Clean isn't happy about this. One day, he's a great destroyer of humanoids. Now he has to protect them. The things I do, huh? Alice wants to go and deal with Bolette, but he says she needs to stay with Noro and Luna to protect them. And he also doesn't want others to know a human is in cahoots with the king of the magical beasts. Clean needs a reason to enter the fight, and that's easy. Since the magical beast cubs were probably taken by mages and Drell, CLEVATESS can interfere. That way he can learn more about the mage's power. He gives Alicia advice that it's not yet time to avenge her father. Besides, she has to be a hero, because that's what Alicia promised him. However, she doesn't think she's a hero anymore. She was killed and is a zombie that only walks because of the magical blood. Clay doesn't think that's how it works. It's not just because she has a sword or kills a magical beast that makes her a hero. Clayhan wants to know the reason. Alice became one. She answers it was to make the world a bigger place. He understands and says Nello's world got a whole lot bigger. With that, he says he never said Alice stopped being a hero, but he won't stop her from not considering herself one. It's just that Clean gave Alicia some divine advice. What a nice guy. Alicia tells him to be careful in his fight, and Clayan finds it absurd that his servant thinks he needs her concern. Clay assumes his CLEVATESS form and almost sends Luna flying with his power. Good thing Anello held on, but the child had a lot of fun flying a little bit. Alice goes to the two of them and says, Clean should be back 1 hour or another. So, CLEVATESS returns to his region of the Mountain of the Moon, and the vibe is really high, like he made a call. Bolete destroys a hidden fortress and advances its invasion further. The soldiers of Essel, Hot and Mikkel, are worried about Drell and Bolet's rapid advance. Rod speeds up on his horse, and Mikkel says Bolet will soon reach Ritterat. So, their reinforcements didn't arrive in time, but Rod needs to stop them at the river ahead. The member of Haydn is also nearby and advances on horseback. Alice and Nellos arrive in a town and witness a bandit being beaten up by some carpenters, saying Chiron belongs to them. Apparently the dude is a survivor of the crows and the guy bites the dust. Right now, Nilo gets scared of the situation. The trauma hits hard. Alicia takes her away and the bandit tried to snitch, but nobody believed. Hanging a guy from a tree, the citizens argue about a story of a huge creature in the Albus mine. It's true. Little do they know, the beast is gigantic and of an ancient species. The carpenters think it's really over. Bolete invading Haydn. CLEVATESS who destroyed the capital, Hyderat. It's really the end times and the people need to grab weapons to protect themselves. From the youngest to the oldest, Ali understands the tension in the city and asks Nello not to call her a hero in this town. After all, everyone's nerves are on edge. The two enter a tavern where the local guards are already scowling at them. They might be bandits. Then the mother of the blockheads arrives and tells them to stop this shameful behavior, cause they'll end up waking the baby. The two are suspicious because Aaliyah has a sword on her waist. But the world, the way it is, it's normal for people to walk around armed with swords to defend themselves. The sensible mother of the boys tells the two to become real men and stop with this useless fear. Don't be such kids. The lady apologizes and introduces herself as Carrie, the owner of the establishment. The lady has already figured out that Luna is a pure-blood Radiant, something very rare to see in the countryside. Alice says the two are guards for an important Haydn noble. They're protecting the child. In a way, it's true. It's not an absolute lie. The guy believes it and says they're welcome as long as they pay. Alicia asks for a room for the baby and food for them. Alicia pays with silver coins for 2 nights. Carr shows them where their room will be and the boys say they don't trust strangers. Their mother tells the boys to stop the nonsense, kicking their butts and telling them to help the ladies with the baggage. The tense part is that the weight Nello was carrying feels like lead to the big guys, and she was carrying that on her back for days with insane ease. Alicia likes the room and is surprised it has iron beds. Dude says that's not normal. It's a city of carpenters after all. But a few decades ago, they made some chairs for the king who gifted them iron beds. But now it's all over. The king died and a war started. Ali feels really bad about everything, but Carrie says not to worry, and if they need anything, just call or come down for food. So Nello tells them to put Luna to sleep in the bed, and there's a bug watching through the window. It's an Inard mage of insects, who found the royal blood baby. Now we're screwed. He orders all his insects to go after Luna, and it's an abnormal swarm. Lucia wonders if CLEVATESS has already arrived on the battlefield, and from where she is, you can clearly see the Mountain of the Moon. Delu calls Alicia and shows her Luna sleeping, who is the cutest thing ever, and shows his first tooth coming in. Such purity. Lu. Please, let nothing bad happen. Carr enters the room and calls them to eat. Alicia goes to get the meals at the counter. The bar drunks are interested in Alicia, but they won't get anywhere, cause she says she's way out of their league and has a son to take care of. With that, they give up immediately. Alicia overhears people talking about the king's madness for sending the heroes to fight the king of the magical beasts. They talk trash about the heroes and say they were all a bunch of greedy people who just wanted the magical weapons to sell them. None of the citizens believe in the heroes and blame them for all the bad stuff happening. Alicia was heading back to her room. Suddenly, something comes crashing through the window. It was a giant centipede. Maynard is present and says it's a very strong and dangerous magical beast. Any wrong move from someone, and it will attack. Even without Menonard's order, Alicia is without a sword to fight. Of all times, she left it in the room. One of the drunks, Gabby, jumps through the window to escape the giant centipede, but didn't expect to get caught by a swarm of insects spraying over the whole city. Here he became mincemeat for every kind of magical beast. Maynard shows that he has positioned all his insects around the city so no one escapes. So, they'd better cooperate if they don't want to bite the dust. He wants to know who the intruder is, messing with his business. Meninard of Swan introduces himself as Supreme Mage of the Bulite Army, lover of General Drell, and his only goal is the Raidinian baby in this tavern, and to know if he truly has royal blood. Alice hears screams from Nello, cause she got pinned with the iron beds against the wall. Another mage from Bulite has arrived on the scene. Her name is Naye Chiffonlitz, a high mage of Bulite. Now, we're totally screwed. What's gonna happen to our incredible CLEVATESS characters? CLEVATESS is heading to where Bulite's soldiers are. Meanwhile, Maynard is just there at the bar, making threats. Luna is crying a lot, and the situation is tough for Nelu. The military mage keeps pinning Nelu to the wall with the iron bed. Nelu asks how she got there on the second floor out of nowhere. Naya says she controls magnetism, so she flew by riding an axe and controlling it up to the second floor. So, she wants to test Luna with a crazy candy that shows the talents of whoever eats it. If Luna has magical talent, her eyes change color. If not, she coughs blood until she bites the dust. This is just too crazy. So much that Nayas starts forcing the candy down Luna's throat, and then Nelu can't take it anymore and explodes in anger, pushing the iron bed and breaking the bedroom wall. Meanwhile, Alicia deals with the giant centipede and goes to help Nelu. Maynard finally recognizes her. Alicia gets to the room and finds out it was Nelu who wrecked everything and knocked out the military mage. Now the two need to flee and protect Luna until Klein gets back. Giant bugs show up, and Alicia jumps next to Nelu and takes out the ugly bugs around them. That said, they run and Naye can't reach them with her axe. She didn't understand a thing. How can a regular woman like Nelu have so much strength? Alicia and Nelu manage to run without the bugs chasing them. But upon reaching the forest, there's a blockade full of these disgusting creatures. Alicia can't use her dragonfly technique too many times, so they need to find a safe spot to keep Luna. Okay, cause that's their priority. Meynard. Totally underestimated. Alicia tells everyone in the bar, and Naya, that she's one of the 13 heroes of Hayden. He met her the day General Drell fought her dad in a humble village. He knows a hero wouldn't travel with a normal baby. Things just got real, and the big boss will want to play with his targets. So Maynard gathers all the townsfolk in the main square. But the citizens aren't happy with this Bulite invasion, even though Maynard tries to sweet-talk them, saying they're there to protect them from magical beasts, like CLEVATESS, who might come back and destroy more human territory. The people aren't really buying it, until Maynard talks about Alicia, one of the 13 heroes who's around, and says it's all her fault what's happening. If they were already blaming the heroes anyway, now people will really listen and do what Maynard asks. He tells everyone to go out for the hero hunt. Meanwhile, at the Merrill River in Hayden territory, Drell and his army are crossing the river to the capital Hitter. So Drell tells the enemy to reveal himself and stop playing games or he'll come get him. With that, the soldier from Esslin Road uses his treasure frost flower and freezes the river, immobilizing Bulite's army. Mikkel and the other soldiers from Esslin arrive to start the attack against Bulite. The surprise attack is working. These guys set up a genius plan so 6,000 men could handle 50,000. Drell says that Rhodey's ice treasure couldn't freeze the whole river at once, so he must have positioned several mages upstream to cool the water to just above freezing. That's true, but nothing stops Rhodey from continuing to fight. But Drell grabs his sword and defends himself. So Drell goes on the attack and says this plan and Rhodey's strength aren't enough. No matter how much potential he draws from his treasure, he doesn't have the strength to break free from the world's bindings. Then Drell uses some crazy power and summons a beast's claw and attacks. The move is called Deadly Dragon Claws. Mikkel and some soldiers run to help Commander Rhodey. Drell explains he fused magic with his treasure, the Black Dragon, making it ascend to something that transcends a sword. He destroys everything and everyone. Doesn't matter if ally or enemy, saying if someone is too weak to die from a basic move of his, they have no right to advance beyond this world. The guy is spouting some nonsense, so much that Rhodey isn't understanding his ramble. Drell wants to destroy the tradition of the hero's legend. Because of it, they always lose to opponents using techniques they don't understand. Thus, they'll remain trapped in this world forever. So, when Drell is leaving like it's nothing, CLEVATESS of the Moonlight appears overwhelmingly. The beast means business and emanates an aura. His howl alone causes a huge gust and pressure worthy of the king of the southern magical beasts. The beast's speech impresses the knights. CLEVATESS wants to know about Drell, who already draws his sword. And the Southern King wants to know about the magic he uses, and demands explanations, because this has to do with the disappearance of magical beast pups. Anyone who messes in his territory needs to be ended. Drell isn't too scared and gets pierced by CLEVATESS, but doesn't seem too surprised. So he uses his trap and activates a magic to seal using a blood prison by exploding his own body, trapping CLEVATESS inside a blood sphere. Then Drell regenerates completely from the sword, because it is his life now. He says CLEVATESS won't escape this sealing magic easily, so General Bulite orders his troops to advance. Meanwhile, Alicia and Nelu run through the forest looking for shelter, and the townspeople are looking for them. The townsfolk show up where Alicia, Nelu, and Luna are. There's nowhere else to run. These guys are pissed and blame Alicia for all the bad stuff that happened to them, saying being a hero is nothing. They just take out some magical beasts and think they're the greatest. Nelu tells Alicia that she is special because she's only alive thanks to her. Alicia doesn't care about the insults and says Nelu and Luna have to protect themselves. That's the focus. Since there's no way out, Alicia knew this would happen. The dad of the pickpocket brothers shows up with their mom and tells everyone to stop this immediately. They're not setting anyone on fire. They don't have to do what Belit's mages say. That's why some men are watching the mages in the central square. Not that it'll help much if they decide to make a move, right? The boss wants to talk to Alicia to check her character. Alicia goes and tells him about the fight with CLEVATESS and what happened to her magic sword. So the boss chills out because he knows she's not some greedy hero who sold her treasure and ran from her duty. The blame is really on the king who sent the 13 heroes to fight a king of the magical beasts. He asks Alicia if she saw what's beyond the mountain of the moon, what the view was like. Was it worth going through all the terror of CLEVATESS? Alicia remembers she saw the real world for a second. It's round with an endless horizon. She says it was totally worth it, because it makes you realize how tiny everyone is compared to the vastness of the world. So then, the bug mage shows up at the meeting and attacks. Alicia goes after the giant centipede and tells the people to hide in the cabin. The boss is hurt and needs to be carried. The bugs surround everything and everyone, while Alicia has to deal with these disgusting creatures. Maynard thinks it's wonderful. She's staying behind to fight, but she'll have problems if she ignores the smaller bugs, because the poison will spread all through Alicia's body, especially a spider venom that destroys blood. Maynard reveals his story, from when he was a kid and lost everything he had, and not a single hero ever came to save him or offer any help. His elderly neighbors did more for him than any hero ever did. To Maynard, heroes are just useless decorations. So the only ones who can actually do anything are people like General Drell and himself. CLEVATESS calls out to Alicia and tells her to finish this already, because he's got things to do. After being swallowed and buried by a bunch of bugs, Alicia raises her treasure and now can counterattack. Since all living things are made of water and bugs are no exception, the flow-dividing sword wrecks the insects. Alicia devastates everything in her path, sending Maynard flying and finishing off all the bugs in the town. Now the people believe Alicia is a true hero. Maynard is screwed now, but says he won't surrender, so he gets pistol-whipped with a sword and takes a nap. Alicia passes out from exhaustion and Klein catches her and says he took too long. He needs Alicia and Nelu to come with him. General Drell is apparently getting help from another king of the magical beasts. Princess Tala of Hayden tells them to hurry up evacuating the people. She wants to know if there were any survivors in the castle. The servant says they didn't find anyone. Tala is sure her son Hadel, the sixth, is alive. An old lady arrives and tells the princess to take shelter somewhere safe, because now she'll have to rule in her father's place. Tala says she can't do that while her son is alive somewhere. Her certainty comes from when she saw the royal forge of Hayden. Since it was still shining like a living fire, it means her son, the next king, is definitely alive. So the top priority is to find the baby and protect him at all costs. Tala regrets not being able to stay with her little one when the crisis hit. She knew something would happen, because she had a vision that the heroes wouldn't be enough. Tala puts on her armor ready for battle against Belit and takes the king's hammer used for forging the treasures. So then, Belit's army arrives, destroying the walls and marching without any mercy. The citizens in the town where Alicia and the others are captured. The remaining Belit mage, she was caught pretty as if there's no iron around. Naya is just a regular girl. Alicia wants to know what Drell's connection to the magical beasts is, but apparently Naya doesn't get it. Klein is sure that a king of the magical beasts is backing Drell, which complicates things. And Klein isn't keen on dealing with the challenge of whichever king it is. Naya escapes from them, thinking she was owning them by taking Luna with her to Belit, but it was all a plan by Alicia and the others, so Naya would lead them to General Drell, with one of the treasures pointed at the mage. She accepts defeat and takes them there without trouble. As they leave, the people thank the hero, Alicia, and ask her to save their kingdom. Klein notices she's now happy about doing something heroic. Nelu was surprised by Alicia's strength and that Luna is actually a baby from the royal family of Hayden, and gets worried if she's fit to carry him, cause Nelu thinks her blood is dirty and not worthy of carrying a member of Hayden's royal family. Klein doesn't get this human status thing for defining someone's importance, cause in the world of magical beasts, strength is what defines your relevance. And Nelu is way stronger than any regular human. The group arrives on the battlefield, and Alicia is looking for Drell and finds him. Princess Tala orders the attack on Drell, but it doesn't do much, but she goes on with her plan. However, the general disappears and reappears with a magic strike. Alicia arrives from the skies, seeking to avenge her father. Tala uses this moment of Drell's distraction to break his treasure, but it doesn't work. The two treasures clash, and the fight begins. Drell says the daughter of the master swordsman is too weak and has no business on the battlefield. Klein wants to take Luna to open the door to the royal forge area. Soldiers were guarding the place. but a shadow absorbs them out of nowhere, and it doesn't seem like it was Klein's doing. Luna touches a panel to open the door. Gart, Zavit's servant, gets to where CLEVATESS's fake body is trapped and feels a huge power from the ball and doesn't get why he doesn't break out. Gart gives it a strong kick and it does nothing. Commander Rhodey shows up and says Drell is attacking Hayden's capital and asks the magical beast for help to take him to the battle. Gart says he saw Rhodey losing to the enemy. What does he think he'll do differently? But Rhodey doesn't care about that. He needs to stop Bolete from getting to Hayden's royal forge to prevent something terrible from happening. Rhodey says Drell is trying to use magic to change the world, which sparks Gart's interest, and he remembers Zavit's words about a bad omen. So he agrees to help Rhodey, on the condition that he helps him and doesn't ask anything about him. Rhodey agrees, but he can't do anything that betrays the kingdom of Eslan. So he grabs the bird's leg and they fly to Hayden. Luna's little hand didn't do anything to open the door, not even sitting on it. Then the baby poops his diaper and Nelu has to clean him. Klein tells the two to wait while he tries to get in from above. With the forge's heat level, a common magical beast would burn up. Good thing Klein is the king of the south. Some strange guy arrives and scares Nelu and Luna. Klein had to hide in the shadow of a special brick to not melt near the forge. The whole thing is next level. Then he sees Nelu fallen on the ground and comes face to face with the headless king of Hayden holding Luna. Now things got really weird. Man. Meanwhile, Alicia continues the fight against General Drell, who says she doesn't even compare to her father. Her weakness is an insult. Then, Drell tells Alicia that he and her father were classmates from the same swordsmanship school and tells her how he got the title of Dragon Slayer and how Alicia's father abandoned the path to becoming a hero. It all started 25 years ago, in the capital of Eslan. Drell and Margot fought in a tournament to see who would win the treasure from the King of Hayden. In the end, Margot won and got the sword. Drell knew Margot was a great prodigy and beloved by the sword. The treasure works in a peculiar way. It was still incomplete and needed to be finished by the user. The first magical beast killed by it would have its soul absorbed by the treasure, thus making it something unique. So Margot needed to think very carefully before using his new sword. So he called Drell to gather an expedition force to eliminate a northern dragon. Drell said that was crazy, cause they're incredibly strong monsters that are servants of Orden, the king of the northern magical beasts. However, he ended up accepting, but it didn't take long to discover this was a mission way harder than normal. The whole group was wiped out, leaving only Margot and Drell. Still, with their skills combined, Margot got close to finishing off a northern dragon. Drell believed for a moment that Margot was capable of defeating such a creature, but fate played a trick on them. All the force gathered in Margot's attack was ruined by a stone he tripped on during the strike's trajectory. So the dragon took advantage of Margot's moment of imbalance and cut his leg off. Thus, his journey to become a hero came to an end. But without hesitating, he threw the sword to his friend Drell, who took the chance and eliminated the dragon. So the Hayden treasure absorbed the power of the defeated beast. Then a big, different red dragon arrived. This was the Northern King Vorden, who was impressed by the human who defeated a dragon. Moments later, Drell woke up in a puddle of blood inside a huge footprint. That day, Drell knew true terror. Afterwards, Margot moved on with his life and Alicia knows the rest of her father's life. Drell tells her that even after being called a dragon slayer, his doubts didn't go away. They became certainties. The legend of the heroes who would defeat the kings of the magical beasts is all a lie to manipulate everyone. The secret is hidden within Hayden's royal family. More specifically by the king's. Magic is the source for all the answers Drell seeks. So he summons a big skeleton dragon using necromancy and wrecks the place, making Alicia fall from the wall. Drell leaves and Alicia is on the ground, all busted up, but regenerates thanks to the magical blood. Klein finds it interesting that the headless king is about to throw his own grandson into the forge. Even without knowing the reason for it, Princess Tala meets up with Alicia because she needed to talk to her. The princess finds out only Alicia survived CLEVATESS's rage. Even so, all help is welcome. Drell is wreaking havoc and Hatterat's forces can't handle that much power, especially with his powerful magic. So, Alicia tells Tala that her son is alive, the boy with pure Hydenian blood. Tala gets super emotional hearing this and asks where he is right now. Alicia answers that one of her companions took him to the royal forge, so the two head off to get Luna. The headless king opens the royal forge that burns anything that gets too close. Klein stops him from throwing the kid into the forge, cause he doesn't think that's normal behavior for a grandpa. But the king says his body is moving against his will, cause everything happens as the forge desires. All the kings of Hayden since ancient times are burned and reborn from the forge's ashes to fulfill its will. Normally the appointment happens for the whole kingdom to see, and the next king's true name is written in the forge, so that the person can't disobey its desire. Publicly, Luna is known as Hadel VI, but his real name is Tot. Since his name wasn't engraved in the forge, the kid can't throw himself in, so the king's body will perform this act. He throws the child so he can be reborn as a king. Of course, Klein predicted all this and saved Luna. What the headless king threw into the fire was the baby's shadow. Now that he failed, his body throws itself along with his head into the royal forge, thus getting incinerated. The forge starts coming to life and tries to burn Klein and Luna, but it's useless against his shadow powers. Klein asks for the master of the forge to show himself already. Drell is instructed by Vorden to hurry up and go to the forge. Rhodey arrives at the battle with his ice javelin. Gart will watch from afar to see how all this ends. Alicia and Rhodey need to join forces to have any chance against a Drell buffed by the power of a magical beast king. Even though the two are talented with their treasures, that only applies to human standards. Drell passed that limit a long time ago, so he sends the two flying and has the advantage in the battle. Rhodey and Alicia come up with a plan and she manages to cut Drell in half, but it's no use. Drell assumes a new form, something too grotesque to be called human. He says there's no way the hero legend can come true. It's beyond the human species' capacity. The true humans who ruled the earth in ancient times disappeared long ago. All they left were stupid legends, so everything related to the legends needs to disappear, and for that Drell doesn't care how. Many need to bite the dust. Klein discovers this truth from the Forge Master. He's never seen or remembers these so-called true humans. All he sees in front of him is the Book of Toa. It was this object that triggered all of this, sending heroes to impossible battles against kings of magical beasts, killing kings so they'd be reborn from the ashes and fulfill the Forge Master's will. With that, Klein is incredulous and decides to abandon Luna right there and go back to his mountain. He's tired of this. The Book of Toa could very well be a magic left by these true humans. Klein walks out of the forge and leaves Luna crying there alone. Belit's army keeps on invading, and the war between them and Eslan and Hayden doesn't stop. Klein says if this world emerged from pure chaos, he must have been born from it. These words might as well have come from CLEVATESS himself. Transformed Drell launches his magic strike, but Rhodey blocks it with his treasure. Klein wonders what's the point of all this? Why carry a humanoid's child? So he decides to abandon Luna right there at the forge, and gives up on destroying the humanoids, and has no interest in Toha's book. What he wanted was for something to change. Lewin cries desperately, and Alicia heard Klein's whole speech and tells him to stop this nonsense. How can he just quit everything now? But Klein doesn't care about the future of humans, and will let Drell and Vorden do whatever they want. Alicia doesn't give a crap about that, and says Luna is right there. He's proof the world isn't just gray. Alicia doesn't care if the legend is true or not. It doesn't matter if they're being fooled by ancient legends. Those who are gone have no right to call humans an inferior race. So, Alicia yells for Klein to look into Luna's eyes and say what color they are. The baby tries to get up, but falls. Yet he tries again and manages to stand. A little warrior who got up even while crying. Guys, I can't handle seeing Luna cry. He's so darn cute. Man, I almost cried watching the episode and making this video. Alicia says it was because of those eyes that Klein wanted so badly to see him grow up. Drell says there's no way Alicia can defeat him without a treasure, but she just wants Klein's answer. He picks up Luna and says his eyes are light purple. Drell wants to finish off Alicia, but Nelu saves her by throwing a piece of wall at him. Alicia doesn't care about being called a copycat hero, cause she knows she's the real deal and uses her magic blood to regenerate, which impresses Drell with her variant of the Ascending Dragon. Alicia attacks Drell, and a water tower rises to the sky, turning into rain. The skeleton dragon's head gets cut off. Princess Tala thinks Alicia won, but Rhodey says Drell blocked the attack with his treasure. He blocked the strike twice. Drell humiliates Alicia, saying that's the limit for a fake hero. The girl falls from the sky, bleeding heavily, saying it's Drell who achieved nothing, cause he couldn't be a hero, and made excuses blaming fake legends. This obviously pisses Drell off, wanting to finish Alicia for good. She reveals her target was always the sword, which quickly shatters. Every time their swords clashed, she heard a weird noise, like a muffled scream. That said, the king's hammer Tala used earlier affected Drell's treasure. Alicia just gave the final little push and hit the sword with all her strength. Nelu saves her from splatting on the ground, and now Alicia wants to see if Drell's body is really made entirely of magic blood, cause the real owner is somewhere else, and seeing Drell can't fight anymore, will abandon him. Said and done, Drell's body starts twisting and turning into a pile of meat. Alicia knows well that if a magical beast king doesn't see you as useful, he tosses you out in an instant. Drell writhes in pain and begs the blood not to leave now, cause he hasn't conquered anything yet. He remembers the last fight alongside Margot and didn't want it to end like this. But it is what it is, right? Drell gets torn apart, and even his skull turns to crumbs in the air. Rhodey figures out Drell had 9 magic crystals in his body, the kind Belit's mages use. That's just too much power for a human to handle. The fight with Drell might be over, but if Vorden shows up now, we're screwed. Klein shows up with Luna and says Vorden won't do anything for now. Everyone's happy to see Luna is okay, and his mom Tala cries when she sees him. Luna recognizes his mom and calls her Mama. Tala runs to hug her son, but Klein tells her to wait and says the king's return must be done on his own 2 feet. Luna stands up and starts walking to his mama. He might stumble on the way, but the king will always move forward. What a beautiful moment of a mother reuniting with her lost son. I'm gonna cry from all the cuteness. My lord, Alicia tells Klein to stop smirking, cause all this started with CLEVATESS destroying the castle and taking Luna. Alicia collapses on the ground exhausted, and Nelu says they have to treat her wounds. Rhodey comes over to help with that, but Alicia tells them not to worry about her. It's better to tell everyone Drell was defeated and the war is over. Rhodey agrees and will take Drell's broken treasure as proof and announce the end of the war. Klein took Toa's book. It'll stay with him until the truth is known. Forden, in his red lizard form, says CLEVATESS will regret what happened, cause Toa's awakening is near. Klein doesn't care and says Vorden is his enemy, eliminating the lizard. For now, the battle ends, and CLEVATESS is curious to find out more about the humanoid world. Rhodey runs, shouting for everyone to hear that General Drell was killed by the hero Alicia. His army starts to retreat. The message spreads and the attack is cancelled. The soldiers put away their swords and the enemy retreats desperately. Nye Chiffonlitz is collapsed on the straw without any strength. Meanwhile, Gart, who was watching from afar, flies away. The Eslan army approaches Hayden, and some arrived with a cleric near the blood sphere holding CLEVATESS's fake body. The cleric tells everyone not to approach. If this thing wanted to get out, it would have already, and forbids anyone from even looking at the creature. In Hayden, sunset has arrived. Alicia had her fatal wounds healed, but will need to recover like a normal human, so no one suspects anything. Klein hears Drell's story and doesn't know if it's all true, that a long-lost race were the only ones who could become true heroes. What he does know is that Toa's book exists and has manipulated the kings of Hayden for generations. The truth of everything must be in the original legend of the heroes. He found a key, along with Toa's book. Although it fit the lock, it didn't open it. It probably gives access to another mystical book. The book can't be forced open. There are possibly 3 or more volumes of Toha's book. Fabio knocks on the door and enters, saying the widowed queen has summoned them to the royal palace. At night, Tala says a large part of the castle was lost, but the throne remained intact, and the most important thing is that the king is alive and strong. She thanks the 3 from the bottom of her heart for saving her son. A nervous Nelu apologizes to the queen, feeling unworthy of having nursed a future monarch since she comes from a poor origin, born to bandit slaves. Tala isn't the type of noble who looks down on others because of their status. She tells Nelu her biggest worry was that her son would be hungry and cry because of it, but thanks her from the heart and will always be in Nelu's debt for nursing and caring for her little one. Nelu cries, honored by such words. The queen tells the 3 they can have one wish, be it land or a title. She will give anything. Klein has something to ask for. He wants to be King Luna's magic teacher. It cuts to an unknown future where Klein and Alicia are dressed differently and she's in the form of a Hayden. The 2 walk towards the castle. My dude, this ending was crazy. Alicia changed form and the Southern Magical Beast King is gonna be the Hayden King's magic teacher. Things got wild here. CLEVATESS was a welcome surprise this year. A good dark fantasy with interesting lore to explore. Comment below what you thought of the final episode and don't forget to like and subscribe to show your support. Hit the bell so you don't miss anything and enjoy more anime on your screen. Thanks for the constant support, and peace out.